When we look at the North Korean offer, I think we have to put it into context, and we really have to understand what they're saying and what they're not saying. The North Koreans are saying that they're willing to give up their nuclear program, they're willing to give up their missile program, if they're given assurances of regime stability, if there's no threat brought against them. And what in effect that means is something that they've been saying for decades. They will trade away their nuclear program potentially in return for the withdrawal of U.S. forces from South Korea. We've seen the North Koreans do this many times in the past. When they come very near a crisis moment, they're able to kind of pull back from the brink and use that moment to try to break out of their box. Two of the very important moments was 1993-94, which led to the agreed framework and almost led to the first inter-Korean summit, but Kim Il-sung died that summer. The second would be a few years later, in 1998, when the North Koreans tested their first attempt at a satellite launch vehicle, and within 2 years they were hosting the South Korean president in Pyongyang and opening diplomatic relations with numerous countries. This seems to be the North Koreans trying for another one of these breakout moments where they can use these offers of dialogue and use this perception of really wanting peace and stability to try and fracture the ability of the United States to put those real tight constraints on North Korea and to isolate the regime. For the United States now, this is sort of the difficult moment. If the United States goes along with the North Korean offer, starts to ease back on some of what's going on in South Korea in regards to military exercises, maybe pulls back on some of the attempts to tighten the naval near blockade around North Korea that the U.S. was threatening, then in some ways that may be seen as the U.S. capitulating. It's the United States potentially again falling for, as it would say, the same North Korean trick over and over again. And we've already seen the Japanese start to suggest that the U.S. needs to be very careful that they don't run too fast with this. However, if the United States doesn't go along with at least entertaining this opening and offer for talks, then it may start to actually break the international consensus around the sanctions regime. China, Russia may start pushing back on cooperation in the United Nations. There can be increased friction between the United States and the South Koreans. So really what the North Koreans have done is made an offer in a way that they're not necessarily saying they're going to give everything up for nothing. And it puts the United States now in the position of either appeasing the North Koreans or really going against the grain of the world system and losing some of the support that they've had in this maximum pressure campaign.